Hello, Creative Gems. Welcome back to Creativity. I'm Sandy, and today we're going to be crafting with a bunch of bowls from the Dollar Tree. This first one is a clear plastic bowl with a large flared opening and a small round base. Another bowl I found at the Dollar Tree is a much thicker plastic bowl, also clear, and it has these ridges that curve with the bowl. Although this bowl is plastic, it's so thick and great quality that it almost looks like glass. Next, I have another clear round plastic bowl. This one is pretty plain, but it's quite large, measuring in at almost 12 inches. And then finally, we have this clear flat round garden dish. In fact, we'll start with this garden dish for our first craft. We're essentially going to transform this dish along with all of the other bowls I just showed you into high-end looking unique bowls that you can showcase on a shelf or console table. When we're done with these bowls, no one will ever realize they were once dollar store bowls. But I do have to warn you that I'm sort of winging it today. I have only a vague idea of what I want to make in terms of design. The theme for all these bowls today is to mix silver and gold, but as for how I'll do that, I'll be making up as I go along, which means there will be mistakes which I'll have to figure out how to fix on the fly. So I hope you don't mind that today's tutorial is going to be a little messy and slightly longer than my usual. With that said, you can see that I started Mod Podging this dish and now we're covering it with silver glitter. This silver glitter is from the Dollar Tree and I love that they have different colors including silver and gold. My strategy for this step is to go section by section so the Mod Podge doesn't dry out before I get to sprinkle the silver glitter. And you'll notice that I didn't bother to touch the bottom of the dish. That's because I'll want to stack this dish on top of one of the other bowls I showed you earlier, since this dish is actually pretty flat. And while we work on this, I would like to take a moment to thank you for tuning in to today's craft project. If you enjoy Glam Home Decor and DIY crafts on a budget, please let me know by hitting that subscribe button. And if you like what you see today, please give me a thumbs up as well so the YouTube gods will continue to recommend my channel to other viewers like you. So I have one layer of silver glitter that I left for a couple of hours to dry, and honestly, I'm really not happy about the results because I'm seeing lots of areas where there's hardly any glitter. You can still see right through the dish, which is not the look I was going for, so I'm going to apply a second layer of Mod Podge and glitter. But before I do that, here's the second bowl I decided to use to stack to the bottom of the garden dish. To adhere the two bowls together, I'm going to opt to use tacky glue rather than hot glue. This tacky glue is from the Dollar Tree, and although it comes out white, it actually dries clear. Although in this case, it doesn't really matter since everything is going to be covered in silver glitter anyhow. What I want to do is to attach the two bowls together and cover both pieces with silver glitter so they actually look like one uniform piece. So with the tacky glue applied all along the rim of the bowl, I'll take the garden dish and place it on top. It will take an hour or two for the tacky glue to fully cure, so we'll need to be really careful when handling the bowls to make sure they don't separate. To continue applying Mod Podge and silver glitter to the set of bowls, I'll need to carefully turn them upside down. And then I'll need to place a piece of craft paper underneath to catch the excess glitter so I can save it. So hopefully I can slide the craft paper underneath without detaching the two bowls. With that done, I can now go in with my Mod Podge. I've got a new foam brush, but it's a bit wide, so I'm just cutting it down the corners for each side. I'll start with applying the Mod Podge onto the second bowl. I'm being quite liberal with the Mod Podge because I really don't want to miss any spots. And now I'll go in with the silver glitter. And of course, as I do that, I'll also go back in with more Mod Podge to fill in the areas that didn't have enough Mod Podge. And here's when things started to fall apart. Holding the two bowls on a slant, the second bowl literally just slid right off the garden dish. I had forgotten to be careful because the tacky glue actually hasn't fully cured yet. So I'll just slide the second bowl back into place and then be a little more careful and apply some more Mod Podge along the seams. And this time I'll keep the bowls on the table surface and sprinkle the glitter onto the sides of the bowl instead. Also, while I'm at it, I'll also apply an extra layer of Mod Podge and silver glitter onto the garden dish, and then I'll leave the whole thing to dry overnight. Okay, so it's the next day and everything has dried and all the glue has fully cured, including the Mod Podge. Let's check it out. At first glance, the set of bowls look okay, but upon closer look, I can still see many spots where there's not much silver glitter and you can still see through the bowl. Well, that's disappointing, but I guess it's because I wasn't able to properly apply the silver glitter while the two bowls were stacked on top of each other on the table. I'll go ahead and clean up the excess glitter and save the extras on the paper and then put it back into the bottle, and then we'll figure out how we can fix the bowl. Okay, so while I was cleaning up the excess silver glitter from the craft paper, I decided that I'm going to camouflage the bowl by embellishing it with some ornate pieces that I'm going to make. Here I have a silicone mold with some Baroque shapes. I'm going to fill them with hot glue, and once filled, I'll let the hot glue to cool. It will take about a minute or two, and you'll know once the hot glue is cooled because the mold will no longer be warm and you'll be able to peel the hot glue out of the mold. I'll make several of these pieces and then I'll paint them. So here I have a bunch of the pieces already painted with a metallic gold paint marker. Look how beautiful the pieces are. So now I need to decide where to place the ornate pieces. There are lots of areas on the second bowl where the silver glitter clumped together that isn't very pretty, so I'll definitely want to place some pieces there to camouflage the flaws. To apply the pieces, I'm actually going to put some hot glue onto the back of each piece and then stick them onto the bowl. And what I decided to do is adhere 4 of the big pieces onto the outer circumference of the second bowl at equidistance. So with the 4 ornate pieces applied, I think the bowl already looks much better. Next, what I want to do is give this bowl a bit more height. So I'll take the silver candle holder I found at the Dollar Tree and we'll place it onto the bottom of the second bowl. I'm just applying some tacky glue. The reason why I've chosen tacky glue instead of hot glue is hot glue tends to dry in hard clumps, which may cause the bowl to sit lopsided on the candle holder. With the tacky glue, it's easy to spread it evenly around and it's thin, so when it dries it won't be clumpy. Now with the candle holder adhered to the bottom of the bowl, let's turn the whole thing upside down. I'm going to apply a string of silver beads between the candle holder and the bowl to cover the seams. I'll use hot glue for that because it will cool and it will dry within seconds. Here's what the bowl looks like now. But to finish things off, I'll also apply the silver beads to the rim of the garden dish. This step is optional, of course, but will add a design detail that will bring the entire piece together. And in case you were not aware, the Dollar Tree also has these beads in gold, and we could have used gold beads as well, but I'm generally more of a silver girl. And if you're still with me, comment down below with the word bowl and let me know if you like these silver beads as embellishments. And if not, let me know what you would prefer. With that done, here's what our first bowl looks like. I have this placed on my newly built-in shelving unit alongside some of my other DIY home decor crafts. I think this bowl is quite unique and I love the pairing of the gold pieces against the silver glitter bowl and silver chrome candle holder. It really gives this bowl an upscaled look. And here's the same bowl with some gold and silver decorative balls inside. I've got an assortment of gold and silver balls of different sizes, which makes this bowl look quite elegant if placed on a side table or console table. And then here's the bowl turned upside down as a one-of-a-kind candle holder. How cool is that? This piece is multifunctional and blends in nicely with both my silver home decor as well as my gold decor pieces. With that said, let's continue with our next bowl. Here I'm painting the outside of a very large round plastic bowl. The look I'm going for is that since this bowl has a very large wide opening, I want the inside to be solid white. So I'll likely need to apply a couple of coats of paint. And you'll notice that I'm painting it with a paintbrush rather than spray painting it. That's because it's still cold outside and snowy, so it's too much trouble for me to spray paint it and leave it outside to dry. So here I am inside my warm cozy studio hand painting the bowl. And if you're still with me, comment down below with the word bowl and let me know if you prefer to spray paint or hand paint your craft pieces. I think for me, if it was more convenient, I would choose to spray paint because I feel it's probably less effort and takes less time. With hand painting, it does take more time, and you can see after I apply the first coat, I need to wait for the first coat of paint to dry before the second coat of paint. I even have to save my paintbrush by wrapping it in plastic, so I only have to wash it once after I'm done painting. I also have to take extra care to avoid paintbrush marks, whereas with spray paint, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward this, and now with 2 coats of paint applied, I'm going to go in with some gold glitter before the paint dries. I really like this glitter because it's extra fine and not chunky. The only challenge is that Dollar Tree only sells glitter in these small bottles, and if you're working on multiple projects or you have one big project, it takes forever to sprinkle the glitter because the bottle is so small. And in fact, there's a second issue with this glitter. I actually didn't realize that the bottle was already half used, and as it turns out, I ran out of this glitter. Unfortunately, this was my last bottle of gold glitter, and as you can see, our bowl is barely half done. I ended up having to order a large bottle of gold glitter online, but it will take a couple of days to arrive. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and tape off the inside of the bowl towards the rim using some painter's tape. I'm using painter's tape because it will be easier to remove it than if I used masking tape or any other type of tape. What I plan to do is when I have my new bottle of glitter, I'm going to apply a layer of Mod Podge all over the outside of the bowl, including the top rim of the bowl, and then I'll go in with a final layer of gold glitter. Okay, so it's a couple of days later and I finally have my new bottle of glitter, so I'll go ahead and apply the Mod Podge all over the outside of the bowl, including the top rim. Now, I didn't realize it until the glitter arrived, but this bottle of glitter is not the same as the Dollar Tree kind, in that this glitter is much bigger. The Dollar Tree one was extra fine, and this one is much chunkier in flakes. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to cover up the original glitter we already applied. It's not a big deal, although it's not what I had originally in mind for this bowl. But like I said earlier, I didn't plan this craft out completely, so I'm just going to have to adapt and improvise. So here's what our bowl looks like after one layer of the new gold glitter. The coverage is pretty good and you definitely cannot see through the bowl, especially with the paint we originally applied. But I can see that there are still some spots towards the edge where there's no glitter applied, so we'll definitely want to fix that up. So what I'm going to do is apply a final layer of Mod Podge onto the edges where there's not enough glitter, and then I'll apply Mod Podge to the rest of the bowl so I can apply a final layer of gold glitter all over the bowl. I'm going to go the extra mile with the extra layer of glitter so that it's as evenly distributed as possible. But if you don't feel it's necessary, or if you did a good job with your first layer of glitter, then you can definitely skip this extra step. And if you're still with me, comment down below with the word bowl and let me know if you usually plan out the details for your craft projects ahead of time before starting your craft project, or do you prefer to wing it and improvise along the way? For me, I typically like to plan things ahead, but occasionally I don't mind testing myself to see how creative I can get, especially when things go sideways. Okay, so I'm finally done with the glitter. It's the next day and the bowl is completely dry, and this is what the bowl looks like. There's a bit of residual glitter inside the bowl that will be easy to remove, and now I'll remove the painter's tape and use that to remove the glitter pieces from inside the bowl. Now that the bowl is cleaned up, I've placed it upside down onto my table. I'm going to continue embellishing this bowl because, like I mentioned earlier, today's home decor craft has a silver gold theme, so naturally I'll need to find a way to incorporate some silver into this piece. I have rolls of these rhinestone trim that I would like to use. This pack actually comes with a bunch of silver trim as well as a bunch of gold trim, and each roll is a different width, which is also great. Let's go ahead and open up a couple of these rolls to take a closer look. The trim is very flexible and look how vibrant the gold trim is. It would definitely look nice on this bowl if I were to keep this bowl completely gold. And here's what the silver trim looks like. To apply it to the bowl, I'm going to use a bit of hot glue. First, we'll adhere the trim towards the base of the bowl. Only a little bit of hot glue is needed, and you can see this trim is very flexible, so it will curve to the round shape of the bowl very easily. And by the way, if you like this trim or any of the other craft supplies and embellishments you see in my tutorials, links to all of my favorites are included in the video's description box. Look how beautiful this bowl is turning out to be. Now we can leave the bowl as is and call it finished, but if you know me, you know what I always say. The more bling, the better. So we're going to continue to apply more silver trim, and this time to the outer rim of the bowl's opening. And while we do that, comment down below with the word bowl and let me know if you are a silver girl, a golden girl, or whether you like a little bit of both. For me, I've been a silver girl for a very long time, but I'm finding lately that a pop of gold really adds a bit of extra color that amps up the glam and glitter factor. Okay, so this bowl looks great and we could stop here, but I'm going to continue with more embellishments. I actually don't like all that chunky glitter applied to the rim of the bowl. It kind of looks messy and it's really not the look that I had envisioned when we first started out with the extra fine gold glitter. So I want to cover it up by adding a string of beads to the rim of the bowl. But this time, instead of silver beads, I'm going to use gold beads. The gold beads will add some nice contrast to the silver rhinestone trim we just added. Once again, using hot glue will be the easiest and fastest way to adhere the beads. Here's what the bowl looks like now. Once again, we could stop here, but I do want to add a bit of height to this bowl and make it a pedestal bowl by placing a small clear glass to the bottom of this bowl. I'll turn the glass bowl upside down, and to keep with the design of the bowl, I'll add a piece of the same silver rhinestone trim we used earlier on the larger bowl. I'll apply it to the rim of the glass bowl first before adhering it to the larger bowl. That will give the overall bowl some extra height as well as a cohesive look from a design perspective. To adhere the glass bowl to the larger plastic bowl, I'll use a bit of Fix-All, which will give a longer lasting and more secure hold compared to hot glue or tacky glue. I'll then also add a tiny bit of hot glue so the two pieces will adhere together immediately so that I don't have to wait for the Fix-All to fully cure. Here's the final look for our second bowl. This one is largely a gold bowl with a touch of silver. Although I started out with extra fine glitter, I think that the chunkier gold glitter actually works because the size of this bowl is quite large. And then here I have placed the bowl on a shelf alongside some of my other silver DIY home decor crafts. And this bowl being largely gold really adds a pop of color against my otherwise silver and white themed home decor. But at the same time, it also blends in beautifully with the rest of my silver decor because of the silver trim. Okay, so let's now continue with our third bowl of the day. This one is a really nice bowl because of the ridges it has. I'm going to start off by painting the top rim of this bowl with my metallic gold marker. This is actually the same paint marker I used earlier to paint the hot glue pieces we made from the silicone mold. And in case you would like to try these paint markers for your own crafts, I'll leave a link in the description box so you can stock up. Also, these paint markers come in gold, silver, and bronze, so you can complement your home decor in any of these metallic finishes. Look how pretty this gold rim is. Went on very smoothly and you can't even tell it's hand painted. Now I want to use this same paint marker and add gold vertical lines along the ridges. The challenge though is whether I can keep my hand steady enough to draw out straight lines, keeping in mind that after a while the lines will become permanent and I won't be able to wipe it off. So I'll need to go in with a steady hand but act quickly to wipe off any mistakes. So as you saw, that didn't quite work out. So now I'm going to have to come up with a different solution to get those gold lines onto the ridges. So since I'm using a paint marker, I'm going to apply a bunch of lines onto a piece of glossy paper. The reason I'm using glossy paper is regular paper will absorb the paint and dry out too quickly, whereas with the glossy paper, the paint will simply sit on the surface of the paper. So before the lines dry, I'm going to press the bowl down to the lines and see if it picks up the gold paint onto the ridges. So far so good, not too bad, and it definitely looks cleaner and straighter than the hand-drawn lines I did earlier. So I'm going to continue with this stamp method until all the ridges are done around the bowl. Alright, so the whole bowl is done now, and as you saw, I did end up having to clean up a few areas towards the base, but overall it's not too bad. Now what I want to do is go back in and embellish the base area with some gems. I have some round, clear, flat back gems that I'll be using, and to adhere them to the bowl, I'll use a tacky glue so I have enough time before the glue cures to make any adjustments or repositionings of the gems as necessary. And by the way, I know some of you will ask about the tool I'm using to apply the gems. It's a gem picker tool that you may recognize if any of you go get your nails done. The manicurist usually uses a gem picker tool like this one to apply little gems onto the nail. So this is the same idea except the gems are going onto the bowl. It really saves a lot of time because it would be way too difficult to pick up the tiny gems with your fingers and then place them into position on the bowl. And in case you want to get one of these for your own crafts, you'll find a link to it in the description box. It's one of my favorite crafting tools because it saves me so much time. In fact, if you have any crafting tools or hacks that save you time, let me know down in the comments section. I think many or most of you who watch my tutorials are also crafters, so it would be great to help each other if you have any tips to share. So I left this bowl for a couple of hours to allow the tacky glue to fully cure, and this is what it looks like now with all the gems set. The silvery crystal gems against the gold lines make this bowl look so elegant. But we're not done yet. For the inside of the bowl, towards the bottom, I'm going to place a round mirror inside. The mirror I have here is actually not a glass mirror. In fact, it's made of acrylic but still reflects like a regular mirror. But this one, as you can see, is flexible and is very thin. In fact, you can use this with regular scissors to cut it, and it's also self-adhesive, so you don't even need to use any glue to adhere it to the bowl. Now, you'll notice that this mirror is actually larger than the base of the bowl where it will sit. So we'll need to cut it to size. To get the right size, I'm going to use the stamp method we used earlier by painting around the base at the bottom of the bowl. Then we'll place it firmly down onto the back of the mirror where there is a wax backing. I'm going to press down on the bowl to make sure it's able to make an imprint onto the paper. We'll remove the bowl and you can see the circle that it has made. I'll use that as a guide to cut down the mirror to size. But just a heads up, use a good pair of scissors because cutting this acrylic mirror was a bit difficult since it's thicker than regular paper. And again, if you like this acrylic mirror and you would like to craft with some of these, find a link in the video's description box where you can stock up. So here's what the mirror looks like. I'll just flip it over and as you can see it's generally round but the edges are not perfect. There are some scratches from the scissors but I'm not too worried about that because I'll find a way to camouflage that. Let's first make sure this mirror fits into the bowl. I'll sit it in the center and it looks pretty good. So I'll take it out now and we can remove the wax backing. The back of this mirror is actually pretty sticky, so I know once I place it into the bowl, it's not going to come off. I'll need to make sure that I position the mirror in the center as much as possible. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and add some trim all around the edges of the mirror to hide those scratches. I'm actually going to apply a string of the gold beads we used earlier for the second bowl. And if you're still with me, comment down below with the word bowl and let me know what embellishments you like to use for your crafts. Did you like any of the embellishments that I have used so far in today's crafts? Are there other embellishments that you would like to see on my channel for future craft tutorials? Let me know, and if there's anything new that I haven't thought of, I'll be sure to incorporate that into a future craft video. Now, with all the beads secured, we're going to go in and brush off those pesky hot glue strings with a dry paintbrush. This is actually another hack I like to use every time I craft with hot glue because it's the easiest and quickest way to remove the hot glue strings. You just twirl the hot glue strings around the bristles of the brush and then remove the glue strings from the brush with your fingers. Works every time. Okay, so for the last step before we finish this third bowl, we're going to turn it into another pedestal bowl by adding a base. But instead of using a round glass bowl like we did for our second bowl, this time we're going to use one of these square bowls. These bowls come in a set of 4 from the Dollar Tree, and I really love crafting with these because they have a mirror-like finish. These bowls also come in different sizes, and this one being the smallest one. And take a look at the rim. It has a beautiful wavy edge that is very pretty. Before I adhere this to the other bowl, I want to dress it out a little. You remember earlier that I used a silicone mold to make some ornate pieces? Well, you may have noticed earlier that I actually made some extra pieces. These have a different shape. They're also a little smaller, but will be perfect to adorn onto our square bowl. Now, there's different designs you can go with depending on where and how you position the pieces. For instance, you can position them in pairs and in different directions. So here I'm testing out a few different options, and honestly, I think they all look great. So I finally decided on a pattern, and now I'm going to use some hot glue to adhere the pieces to the bowl. And here I'm just using some small tip scissors to trim off the edges. And once one side is done, I'll do the same thing for the remaining 3 sides until they're all done. Once again, I'll use a dry brush to remove those pesky glue strings. Now we're ready to adhere this base to the bottom of the bowl. Since both pieces are plastic, I'll just add some hot glue to secure the 2 pieces together. And here's the final look for our third bowl for today. I think the base is absolutely gorgeous with the gold ornate pieces sitting against the silver chrome base. The gems match perfectly with the silver chrome, and the vertical gold ribbing, although subtle, match beautifully with the gold ornate pieces on the base as well as the gold rim. And here's the bowl placed on a shelf alongside some of my other silver and cream DIY home decor pieces. Finally, here's all 3 bowls showcased together in a group. Each bowl has a unique design, but the common theme is the combination of silver and gold that ties all 3 pieces together. Comment down below and let me know which bowl from today you like best. And if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe to my channel and share with other creative gems. Also, remember to hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I have another DIY glam project on my channel.